Welcome to another episode of The Bug Bite, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about why Roku is now requiring two-factor authentication, and why did it take them so long to require it? We'll talk about that as we dig into the article today. So without wasting any time, let's jump right in because we know time is money. So let's make the most of our time. So let's go. So this article is brought to us by Ars Technica, and it's titled Roku is forcing two-factor authentication after two breaches of 600,000 accounts. And like I said earlier, why did it take the breach of 600,000 accounts for them to require two-factor authentication? And it also subtitles, accounts with stored payment information went for as little as 50 cents each. All right. So this article is written to us by Kevin Purdy, and it's a pretty recent article. And it says, everyone with a Roku TV or streaming device will eventually be forced to enable two-factor authentication after the company disclosed two separate incidents which roughly 600,000 customers had their accounts accessed through credential stuffing. Credential stuffing is an attack in which usernames and passwords exposed in one leak are tried out against other accounts, typically using automated scripts when people reuse username and passwords across services or make small, easily intuited changes between them. Actors can gain access to accounts with even more identifying information and access. Right. So we recently, I think, who was the one with the credential stuffings not too long ago? I don't remember. We spoke about it on another episode of the Bug Bite, and it was in relation to credential stuffing where people were able to get into different accounts. So one thing I would recommend to you, right? I know we want to easily be able to remember our passwords, so we try to use the same ones over and over. I've been guilty of doing that in the past. What I would recommend is now with the technology of like Google Chrome and Firefox, where they can suggest passwords and store it for you. And then when you need to retrieve that password, you would have to enter in the password of the actual device that you're using. They can recommend these complex passwords that you don't have to remember. And every single time you go to sign up for a new account, it's going to recommend it'll recommend a password for you, which is going to be like very hard for these password crackers to break, right? So that is definitely a recommendation. Like, don't reuse the same passwords over and over and over again. Back in the days, it wasn't as easy to practice that because of trying to remember everything. You'd have to like write it down, whatever the case may be. I remember I still have it, a spreadsheet that would have a variety of different passwords. But I don't even use that anymore because I don't even think any of those are even valid anymore, because now I just use the password suggestions, and then it gets saved to your Google account. And then when you need to retrieve it, then you have to like do some type of two-factor authentication through Google based on your computer. So they make it a little bit tougher to crack. Is it possible? Of course, it's still possible, but it's a little bit more complicated now. All right, so let's keep going. In the case of Roku attacks, that meant access to stored payment methods, which could then be used to buy streaming subscriptions and Roku hardware. Roku wrote on its blog and in a mandated data breach report that purchases occurred in less than 400 cases and that full credit card numbers and other sensitive information was not revealed. The first incident earlier this year involved roughly 15,000 user accounts, Roku stated. By monitoring these accounts, Roku identified a second incident, one that touched 576,000 accounts. These were collectively a small fraction of Roku's more than 80 million active accounts. So just imagine that. Roku has 80 million active accounts. I remember when Roku like just first came out, and it was like, is this thing really going to take off? But apparently they sure did. And now they have Roku's built into TVs. They have the little devices. So it's very interesting to see. Like in my house, I think we have maybe 3 different Roku devices. 2 of the Roku sticks, and then the actual Roku TV. So it's pretty popular out there. But that doesn't change the fact that because it's so popular, that puts us at a lot more exposure. So we need to be actually able to protect, and not only using, because I said earlier, use the suggested passwords given to you by like your browser or your like whatever browser you use, but you should also have two-factor authentication. So not only that you have that secure password that the browser suggests, you also want to have two-factor authentication. So after you enter that password, and then when you go to sign in, and say, okay, we're going to send you this text message, or you have to open an Authenticator app, or we're going to send you this email, then you have to put in this code in. And it's unfortunate that it takes these type of breaches for these companies to require it, because trust me, like listening to Talk That Tech in the morning, like Trey's mentioned it before, saying that he didn't have two-factor authentication for the longest time because it's annoying. And I'm the same way. I didn't have it for the longest time because it's annoying. But then when you see what's happening to other people, it's like, okay, how can I protect myself better? And enabling like these tools that these companies put in place. And I understand the companies not wanting to force it onto people, but sometimes they have to, because it's in our best interest, even if we don't know it's in our best interest yet, and a lot of times we don't see all the threats that we're getting protected from because it's prevented by these things. So we think, oh, nothing's going to happen. It's because a lot of things have been attempted and we've been protected. I don't know if anybody's ever had I'm pretty sure a lot of people have, but when you go to, you get alerts from your bank saying that, oh, is this a valid transaction? Or you log into your account and you see all these transactions, like, what in the world is this? I didn't spend this money here. And then you have to call the bank and go. So these are like the different things that are trying to protect it. If you've ever had an order placed on your Amazon account, you're like, what is this? And this is why the two-factor authentication is being forced upon people, because the company's like, if the company ends up shipping something out that was not actually purchased by you, they have to eat the cost. They're not going to recover it. If a bunch of stuff is purchased on Roku and it wasn't by you and they have to refund you, they have to eat the cost. So even when even when they're doing it to be in your best interest to protect you, they should also do it to protect themselves, because if they don't force it upon you, they have to eat the cost if you don't, if you're not diligent to enable it, so things that we really need to consider. So the affected accounts will have their passwords reset and will be notified, along with having charges reversed. Every Roku account, when next requiring a login, will now need to verify their account through a link sent to their email address. All right. Alternatively, one can use the device ID of any linked Roku device, according to Roku support page. Forcing this upgrade yourself is probably a good idea for the past or present Roku owners. Like I was just saying, you should enable it yourself. Security blog Bleeping Computer reported around the time of the incident that breached Roku accounts were sold for as little as 50 cents each and likely obtained using commonly available stuffing tools that bypass brute force protections through proxies and other means. Bleeping Computer reported that a source tied to Roku recent updates to its dispute resolution terms, which all but locked Roku devices until a customer agreed to the fraudulent activity. Roku told Bleeping Computer that the two were not related. All right. So that article is brought to us by Kevin Purdy, who is a senior technology reporter at Ars Technica, covering a variety of technology topics and reviewing products. So this is a very good article. And so let's go back to full screen. And there we have it. So some takeaways from this article. Credential stuffing, it works. This is the second article, I believe. It might be the third, but this is the second article that we've covered talking about how credential stuffing was used to get access to other people's accounts. And because we want to reuse the same passwords over and over and over again, which is convenient for us, but it's also convenient for the hackers. And we have to take preventative measures against all type of hacking, because we end up suffering, because now we have to go get new credit cards, possibly change passwords that we were going to have to do anyways. We still have to end up enabling two-factor authentication. The companies are going to lose money. The banks are going to lose money. It's just going to be a whole mess. And it's something that you like. It's like losing your wallet or your credit card or whatever the case may be. So let's take preventative measures early, so we don't have to go fight with this stuff on the back end. Right. So enabling two-factor authentication. Don't use the same password. Use your password. Let your browser generate your password and store it for you, so you never really have to actually enter it, because once you go to that site in your computer, in that browser, it's automatically going to pop it in for you, right? So it doesn't really get shared. We have to be more preventative in everything that we do. So that's my thoughts on it. Very good article. Good that Roku is going to be forcing two-factor authentication. If you haven't been forced to do it yet, you should go ahead and enable it yourself. But that's that. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, do me a big, big favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that we go live or drop new content. And if you're in need of one-on-one coaching with me, go over to www.techcoachralph.dev, where you can sign up for a coaching plan and get access to exclusive content that is not on YouTube or any other platform. All right. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Tech Coach Ralph, and we are out.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.